What's going on, everyone? Devin Canup here, CEO and founder of Become Viral. And inside of this little live training, we're going to be talking about how to hire, train, ramp up, and find great freelancers to help you make 10K a month on your automated faceless YouTube channel. And so this is a common question that I saw. I did a post yesterday inside the group asking what have been your guys' common issues with your channel. And it seemed like a few of you guys were asking about freelancers and getting some content out. So let me just okay, cool. So make sure to, the more you guys engage inside the group, the more questions you guys ask, I might turn it into a live. I might bring it up on, sometimes I'll do like weekly Friday live calls. So make sure to engage, ask lots of questions, meet cool people inside of here. I think we're almost at 3,000 members inside the group, which is awesome. So anyways, let's talk about it. So when it comes to freelancers, you gotta, like, I'm gonna kind of talk around it and just give you all my best shit inside of here, essentially. So when it comes to freelancers, first of all, I think gone are the days where you can just hire people for cheap, unless you're kind of doing a little bit more like very automated content and using heavy AI tools. But the biggest thing I would ask yourself is, if you're just having them run AI tools, then why do they not go and do this themselves, and why do they not go and build a channel themselves? I think far too often I see too many people where they get into the industry and they focus more on the automated part of faceless YouTube channels and more of just like the passive income from building these YouTube channels too soon. I've seen far too often where people will go post hundreds of videos, they'll build out this whole entire production team, put out the content, and they'll just get hundreds of videos out, and then they come to me later and they're like, Devin, why did this not work? First of all, it's because you didn't sign up for the Faceless Channel Academy. But second of all, I'll give you guys the other advice that I give to these people. The other thing is that when it comes to this is, first of all, it's like, don't upload 100 videos and then ask yourself, why isn't things working? Usually after 10, 15, 20 videos, you should see some sizable result. A lot of my students, they get hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views. I just saw a result yesterday actually sent to me from one of my students where he uploaded 4 videos and got 340,000 views. So if you're not getting results in the first 10 videos, there's probably a reason why. But back, I digress. Let me go back to my story, get away from this little tangent here. So the main thing is, you should not expect that you just hire and pay somebody and they figure everything out when it comes to freelancers. There's a reason that they charge the prices that they do, and there's a reason that I charge the prices that I do, and there's a reason that people pay me the prices that I charge, and it's because of one thing, and that is value. So the big question is do you think that hiring somebody, let's say $50 a video, $100 a video, even $300 a video, should get X result of making you tens of thousands of dollars a month and be able to make you a ton of money? No, hell no. Unless you have the right systems and you have the right opportunity and you have a good niche and a great vehicle for them to produce videos around. And so the main thing here is you want to ask yourself, what am I paying for, essentially? Because ultimately, if this freelancer was so good at what they did and they needed no guidance whatsoever, why the hell would they charge only $50? Why would they charge $300 when they can just go channel themselves and make a ton of money? So I want you to think about that. So before you just go willy-nilly and just hiring a bunch of people and just paying people to do the work, you got to ask yourself, what value do you provide, and what are you providing, and what systems do you have in place, and what is it that the freelancer is here to provide? A freelancer is not going to make you rich unless you have the right systems and you have the right opportunity and the right vehicle, and they're the right person in your vehicle to be able to help you get there. So when it comes to getting great freelancers, and I'm just going to kind of talk about talent as a whole, because freelancers are basically the same shit. The only difference is just, these people are on a whorehouse of a platform called Upwork or Fiverr a lot of times, and there's hella jobs that they could go get besides just working for you. And so the main thing you want to ask yourself is, when it comes to a talent, is like, what attracts good talent? First of all, it's like someone that pays me. People that are a freelancer, a lot of times, they don't really want to think a whole lot about everything. They just purely want to just show up, get the work done, and get paid. Think of school. Most freelancers want work to be like school. They want a teacher to give them an assignment, and they want to get a good grade on the assignment. The more that you build this relationship up, the better the result is that you're going to be able to get on or out of your freelancers. And so if you want to make a ton of money, you want to ask, okay, what are the homework assignments being given? And who's the instructor? Are they a good instructor? Are they good at creating the assignments? And the person I'm talking about is you, motherfucker. I'm talking about you watching this video. You're the person, you're the teacher, you're the person giving them the assignment. And if you're a terrible teacher, if you're a terrible instructor, someone that's not able to tell them why they got a D on their paper, and someone that's not able to give a clear and concise homework assignment, you can never expect to have any good freelancers ever work for you. And so before you start asking yourself, how can I hire good freelancers? Instead, you need to ask yourself, how can I be a better instructor? How can I be a better person at coming up with homework assignments? Because at the end of the day, it is up to you, or it is up to the person coming up with homework assignments to be able to get the results. And then you just got to be good at grading papers, essentially. You got to be good at grading the assignments. You got to make sure that they did it exactly how you want how to do it. So now that we view it through this dynamic of an instructor and a student relationship, and you got people that are basically the leaders and the managers, which is you, because unless you got over like $30,000 to invest in this, then hit me up and maybe we can talk about hiring you a manager. But until you can hire managers, you're the manager. So you need to be a good instructor, and then also view it on the other side of, instead of students, you got the task doers. And so instead of asking yourself, how can you hire good freelancers? Instead, how can you make a homework assignment that it's pretty much impossible to fail? A homework assignment that's so good that a toddler can be able to go and do the work, and they will be able to get an A on your homework assignment. And the better that you get at that, the more clear and concise you get with your assignment, and you say, okay, this is, like, you create a rubric. This is an A. This is a grade. Like, if you do this, you'll get an A. If you do this, you'll get a B. If you do this, you get an F. But instead of like A, D, B, C, D, and F, maybe do a pass and a fail. This is what you got to do to pass. This is what you got to do to fail. And the more clear and concise, and the more that you kind of template everything out, the more you systemize it, and the more you break it down, the easier it is for them to complete the assignment. And so what I want you to do, like I just mentioned before, is before you go ahead and ask yourself, how do I hire good freelancers? Instead, how do I be a good instructor? How do I be a good leader? How do I be a good manager? Because as soon as you figure that out, the rest is pretty much a walk in the park. It's a piece of cake. Then you just got to find someone that freaking passed the assignment that you gave them. The more difficult it is for them to like get a pass or a fail, the more expensive the task usually is, and the more specialized work that you got to find, and the harder it is to go find that person. So now what we got to ask ourselves is, how do we become a good leader? How do we become a good manager? So first things first is you want to paint a vision of the assignment. You want to paint a vision of why we're doing the assignment in the first place. You don't want a bunch of people just doing a bunch of homework assignments, not knowing why they're doing the homework assignments at all. Because they're like, the worst thing that I think that American school, like the American schooling system, failed on is they have people doing a bunch of useless math assignments that don't apply to the real world. And because we do a bunch of useless math assignments that don't apply to the real world, everyone's asking themselves, why the fuck are we doing this homework assignment? And why should I put my effort into this? This isn't doing shit. But instead, if you're like, hey, these assignments that like this math that you're figuring out equals you being able to own a Ferrari. And so if you like do this math assignment and you understand this math, and you can understand like how like freaking dividends work and shit, and then after you understand how dividends work, you'll be able to have lots of girls, you'll be able to have a Ferrari and have a cool watch and like go travel the world and do whatever the fuck you want because you understand this math. Now you got a bunch of people that are wanting to do some badass math assignments, essentially. And so the same thing goes for your channel, is if you can paint a picture that if you get an A on your assignment, if you write a badass script, you do an amazing voiceover, you produce an amazing masterpiece of an editing piece, a video that's edited, and you put it all together and you make this amazing video, then you're going to make a video that is going to reach millions of people. This video, this homework assignment that you're doing, when you're done with it, millions of people are going to see this and they're going to love your work if you do it correctly and you do it the way that you said. And you get to tell all of your friends and all your family that you were a part of that video. And so when you start to tell people why the hell they're doing the homework assignment in the first place and what the mission is, then you're going to have some badass talent that, like, you're going to have a homework assignment that attracts amazing people that are willing to work for you for probably even for free if you break it down well enough. You know, if you're just like, yeah, you're going to, like, this work that you're part of is going to go and do this. Imagine if I got to told you that, like, yeah, you're going to be a part of, like, the first iPhone. And you get to tell all of your friends that you invented, like, you were a part of the first iPhone that ever came out. You know, obviously you'd want to get paid, but, you know, you probably wouldn't be you wouldn't want to be paid as much as, you know, some lame-ass job somewhere else. Because this one's exciting. You get to tell everybody that you were a part of the iPhone. So, first things first is you want to ask yourself, what the hell is the assignment? All of you guys, you know, in order to make money with this business model, is you have to go get millions of views. And so the side effect of getting millions of views is you're reaching lots of people. You have big impact. You know, in order to make 10 grand a month, you need to hit anywhere from, like, you know, on the low end, 1 million views, on the high end to like 4 million views. So tell your team, like, put that on the assignment. You're going to be reaching millions of people by making this content. That's pretty freaking exciting. Instead of just like, hey, you're going to do a bunch of homework assignments all day and get paid jack shit for it. That's basically what everybody's doing. Instead of, like, and when I see people hiring freelancers, they're just like, yeah, you're going to do a boring ass homework assignment. It's not going to make you grow as a person, that you probably will never, like, have any sort of street cred or social cred from, and you're going to get paid dog shit for doing this homework assignment. That's what most of you guys are doing. That's what I see most people out in the industry doing, is they're just paying people to do basically nothing. And so what I want you to do is instead ask yourself, what is this going to become? What are going to be the byproducts, more than just financial? Because if you just lead, like, oh yeah, we're going to make a $40,000 a month channel, now that everyone's like, where's my paycheck? Instead, ask yourself, how can I make a channel that gets, let's say, 10 million views, and say, yeah, you know, maybe, like, you know, we're gonna have the biggest pool YouTube channel, you know, like freaking water back here, or trees. This is gonna be the biggest tree YouTube channel in the world. You get to be a part of it. It's gonna get 5-10 million views a month. You get to be a part of it, and you get to be the editor that is reaching tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people with your work. How much more exciting does that sound than, hey, I want you to edit some videos about trees for no fucking reason? Or maybe even you can go a little bit more on storytelling. I want to make a channel about trees because I grew up learning that the trees are the root of all life. Trees are a representation of how life changes, life grows. You look at the rings of a tree and you can see all of the years that have gone by and all the weather that's been hit. But the tree is strong and sturdy the longer that it lives. So I want to tell the world about how amazing trees are. And in the process, we're going to reach tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people. And then on top of that, you get to be paid to be a part of this. And you go to someone that loves trees just as much as you do, and you tell them, hey, I'm going to pay you to make videos about trees. They're going to be ecstatic. They're going to be like, wow, I get to get paid for shit I already do? And you'll be like, hell yeah, that's the mission. And now you got some badass people that are going to be doing whatever it takes. They're going to learn whatever skill it takes. They're going to learn how to animate. They're going to learn how to find the best fonts. They're going to learn the best music. They're going to go find the best clips of the trees. They're going to go even maybe get their own footage of the trees because you have a cool ass vision. You have a great ass channel and something cool to get behind. So first of all, focus on the vision. Okay. All right. So now that we've gone through that part, I think that's pretty much like a lot of it, honestly. Like, that's really the answer. If you can't hire good freelancers after watching that shit, then I think you got some inner searching to do, and you know, you gotta kind of figure that out. So it's just creating a vision that's more than just the finances. As soon as if you're just so focused on the money all the time with the people that you're working with, then you're either gonna have really expensive talent or talent that's just very checked out and soulless. And you know, a lot of YouTube and getting views on YouTube and getting a lot of results is having soul and life and character in the channel. As soon as you start sucking that shit out, it's just like, dude, you have a very dry channel that nobody wants to watch. There's no emotions. There's no actual substance that people want to consume. Okay, so now the other thing is you got to view it this way as well. So when it comes to freelancers, you got to ask yourself, how many opportunities do they have at any given point, at any given moment as a freelancer? Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands. Why? Because like if you go watch ESPN these days, you'll see on ESPN there's an ad for freaking Upwork on ESPN now these days. And a lot of these platforms are going very mainstream with their advertising. And so if you hire freelancers on these sites, you can still find good people, but you just got to understand they have the world at their fingertips when it comes to job opportunities. And so you have to ask yourself, how can you distinguish yourself from all of these other job opportunities? And, how can, like if they're working for you, they're probably doing a couple other channels on the side as well. And so when you have, I don't know about you guys, but if you have, let's say, like 5 things you got to do right now, you got to like juggle all these different things. The quality of your work is usually pretty trash, pretty shit. So you want to ask yourself, like, how many people is this person working for? Like, am I a priority? Because if you're not, they're just gonna kind of go through the motions and figure stuff out. Now, obviously, if you apply what I talked about in the video, you have a great vision, they're gonna be like, fuck those other jobs. I just want to work for you. I'll work for you for free until, like, until I make money and stuff. Or they'll, like, obviously pay them to do their work. Like, I don't believe in like free work that much. I would rather pay people, but then also have people that are excited about the vision and who the person is that they're becoming. But the main thing is just when you're talking to people, just understand they're probably hiring them. So you want to just look for those signs and those red flags. So what I look for, one little key, I'll give you guys a little secret inside here because I'm feeling very generous today, feeling very abundant. Got beautiful weather out here in California in my house. What I will say is when you do the job post, make sure to do some sort of keyword or some sort of tag on there. So what I would like to do is I like to say, like, blue, like at the bottom of my job post, I'll have like a whole breakdown of what the channel's about, the whole mission, what their roles are, full clear, crystal clear vision. And then I'll also say, reply to this job post. When you do apply for the job post, put the word blue dog or freaking like red taco in your post when you are applying. And when you do that, you'll see the people that either have automated responses or the people that actually read your job post and are applying to it. So that'll weed out a lot of bullshit. And then the other thing when it comes to those platforms is I don't like I use Fiverr more for like kind of quick tasks. I use Upwork more for like long-term people that are going to be building with me. So most of the times I find myself hiring off of Upwork these days, to be honest. But anyway, so once you do that, that'll kind of weed a ton of people out. And then what I like to do is I like to interview everybody. So I'll ask them a series of questions, have them fill out a form. And then I like to personally, I tell my managers to do this, is to try to get on a call with them too. If they don't want to get on a call, cool, just move on to the next person. I found that when you have a little bit more of a personal relationship with somebody that you are working with, no matter what the job is, they just kind of build a lot more. It's a different relationship instead of just task doing. Now they kind of, you can talk about family, you can talk about what you did last week, and you can talk about, like how the weather's going and stuff, and like what's going on with their family. So that way they take your shit serious and they actually prioritize you, because over time this is a relationship you're building. These are people that are making you a lot of money, and so since they're making you a lot of money, you want to make sure to build a badass relationship with them. So other than that, the next thing is just having a good bench. It's hire, like I like to hire anywhere from like 2 to 4 people per job, especially when I'm starting a new YouTube channel. So that way, when I hire 2 to 4 people, I can have backups, because you never know. Like when I've worked with, like, I got to a point where we had over like 100 freelancers working me at one point. It was a madhouse. There was always someone's grandma passing away. There was always someone getting sick. Someone ended up in the hospital. Someone's power went out for a week. There was always something. So I found always hire 2, 3 people. There's like the rule of 2s, if you've ever heard of it. Always hire in 2 people. So that way, you can compare. You only know what good is when you have dark, or you only know what darkness is when you have light. And so having that kind of comparison helps out dramatically in the process, because especially you're probably not going to know shit when you're starting out your first channel. So I found if you can have that contrast, maybe hire 3, maybe even 5, just to really see all the different aspects. And especially when you interview 20, 30, 50, 100 people, you're going to start really getting really good at this. And so if you can go and do all of that, like if you can go and hire multiple people, then that's going to help out dramatically. So that way you can kind of move forward. Maybe even some people, they turn around videos in 2 days. Some people will turn around in like 3 weeks, or they disappear on you. It just happens all the time. So hire multiple people, and that will do a lot better for you. So other than that, I would say just view these people as actual people rather than just people getting your shit done for you and making you money. The more that you kind of view it as a relationship, the better the relationship's going to be. I found that money isn't the solution to everything too, by the way. Like, obviously you want to pay people decently. Now it's at a point where people in the Philippines are charging like $50 for a thumbnail. And it's just like now that everything's kind of becoming very globalized with the internet, people are starting to, like in these other countries, are starting to really know their worth and know the value that they bring because they get paid for it. People will pay that person in the Philippines $50 to make a thumbnail. I know it sounds crazy, but it's at a point now where it's just like they have access, they have the same internet access that we do now. They have the same content they can access as we do in America. And so now it's at a point where relationships are really going to be the future of this freelancer world. And it's going to be at a point where it's just like, like quality people are going to be like, are the asset. Quality people and the quality labor is the asset these days. And so a lot of times it's about building relationships, becoming a good manager. And then when you focus on this stuff, focus on, first of all, instead of like trying to get like, oh, this is a message for people, is instead of focusing on getting to like passive income and trying to hit $10,000 a month passively and not having to work and just being able to sip Mai Tais on the beach and not having to do anything, instead get to $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month, work your face off, as Gary Vee says, like grind your fucking face off, go work your ass off, and then now when you're making $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month, then you can do whatever the fuck you want. Then you can talk about making your income passive. But if you're a broke motherfucker, you're making less than like $5,000 a month, and you want this whole passive income, then good luck. It's not like, you're not going to see that. You got to work for it. Get to where you know what leverage is and what value is and what it takes to actually make money. And then you can look into passive income. Then you can look into ways to delegate and outsource and automate processes. So if you guys want the systems, you want the homework assignments, you want to know exactly what to tell your freelancers to do, if you guys want the systems, if you guys want your hands held, if you want to know exactly what to tell them, exactly what videos to make, exactly what vision that you should create that will make you money on your channel, exactly how to not just make $10,000 a month and not just be given fish, but also taught how to fish the right way, how to use the right bait, how to go fish in the right ponds, how to compete, how to beat all the other fishermen, because they all are pretty lazy actually these days. If you want to learn how to do all of that, shoot me a message. Let's talk. But other than that, that's pretty much what I got. That's how to hire great freelancers. That's how to, get people to make you a ton of money on YouTube. This is what I found from getting to over $100,000 a month and making millions of dollars with YouTube. Hopefully you guys got value from this. Drop a comment down below, something that you learned from here. With that being said, make sure to hang out in the group, make sure to engage more, because like I said, this was a question that you guys were asking on a post that I did on Monday. So I just wanted to answer it and give you guys value where I see where the value is needed. And other than that, hope you guys have an amazing rest of your week. I'll see you guys all soon. Bye.